How long has it been? It's definitely been a while, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the League of Legends Pacific Championship Series. I'm going to be your play-by-play and host for the day, Clement Chu, and with a brand new series and a brand new summer split, we also have some brand new faces joining the broadcast. Warm welcomes to my colorcaster for the day, Nightstar. How are you doing?
I am so excited to be here. I cannot wait to get the day started. And boy, do we have a list of games to really start off the split as well.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, like what you've been casting so far and what your take is on this new PCS split?
I mean, this new PCS split is going to be really, really exciting, right? And a little bit about myself. I am a little bit of a legacy viewer when it comes to the PCS LMS, especially the old LMS days. TPA, of course, a legacy team that really got me into esports in general. So, you know, it's thanks to PCS that I'm here today in more ways than one.
And I'm sure PCS is glad to have you back now as a caster as well. Before we move further on, we have to give a great big thank you to our main sponsors, CTBC Bank, China Airlines, and Zhonghua Telecom, and of course, our tournament organizers in Riot Games, Garena, and Carry Live Company. Thanks to you, you are the reason that the PCS is on right now. And with that out of the way, we are going to be moving on and taking a look at our regular season split. Again, we're going to have 10 teams. The regular split is going to be round robins, best of one format, and every team will be playing each other twice. So let's take a look at the 10 teams that we have for summer split. They're the exact same 10 teams that we had in spring, but a lot of these rosters have shuffled around. We've had a lot of changes, and I want to kind of get your take on who's your most exciting team to watch for summer?
Yeah, my take is Boom Esports is definitely a really big wildcard team here. I've actually listed them, I believe, 4th as far as where I predict they will finish, because I think they have the pieces and the skill packed into that roster that they can really contest a lot of these powerhouse names that we saw from Spring Split, which would be Beyond, Talon, and Machi.
All right, let's see if they can pack a punch today. We're going to find them out on the 4th match of the day against BYG Dragons. But of course, we're going to be taking a look at our starters. It's going to be Mega Bank Beyond Gaming versus PSG, a final rematch of the PCS Spring Split playoffs right here. And going further down into the day, we're going to get a double dose of PSG and also a double dose of BYG Dragons coming up again in that 4th match.
Yeah, and just opening up here with Beyond and PSG is a very tantalizing prospect, right? Because yes, those that remember how playoffs went, it was a 6-0 for the side of PSG. However, coming into this, Beyond were the one team that really took that first game off of Talon, the first and only game off of Talon during the regular split. And Beyond Gaming also, you know, when I look at that finals and also just playoff performance in general against Talon, they really looked a little bit shaky and had I would say, some playoff nerves, finals nerves, given that it was their first experience on the big stage. And Talon, they're just way too experienced and just really took advantage of that.
It's so crazy to think that PSG Talon nearly had a perfect split. They were 26-1. And like you said, that only team to take them out was Mega Bank Beyond Gaming. Of course, Mega Bank is kind of the new sponsor of the day. That's why we're making sure that we read their full name out. But Beyond Gaming and Doggo were the first team to take them out, the only team to take them out. And another matchup I'm really hyped about is that Doggo versus Unified matchup. These were the only two guys that had over 100 kills in the regular season, and they were also our only two hyper ADC carries coming out of the bot lane. Of course, PSG going to MSI. Also, again, Unified having some health issues, wasn't able to participate, and Doggo filled his shoes really, really well. So I feel like there might be a bit of tension right there, you know? Unified, kind of the top dog in this region for a long time, but now Doggo is the up-and-comer.
Yeah, and for Mega Bank Beyond Gaming, this team really just kind of revolves around Doggo being able to carry those late game situations, even though I would say they're still mostly focused on trying to get resources into that top side. But as we saw in finals, the side of PSG, when they get time to prep into Mega Bank Beyond, then it becomes a bit of a frustrating time up in that top side.
Yeah, if you look at the top lane matchup, it's really interesting because you have Liang, who's been known as this fighter top laner for a long time, and then you have Hanabi, who's on most games kind of a weak side top laner, but that wasn't really how the script went in the finals at all. In fact, Hanabi got the better of Liang in that series, and it just seems like, you know, I might be a weak side top laner, but I'm just a different caliber. And, you know, unfortunately, I hope that's not the case. I really think that Liang has been one of our better performing top laners, but wasn't able to bring the same impact in playoffs. So hopefully, with this new environment on 11.13, where we're seeing so many flex picks, so many fighters everywhere, hopefully Liang is going to be able to get a bit more of an advantage over someone like Hanabi.
Yeah, that will be a really big point coming into the draft here is how are these teams going to adapt when it comes to some of these different meta shifts, because it's a whole different ball game than what PSG played when they were on the MSI patch. So a lot different game here, and we'll see how PSG also adapt to a lot of these fighters, because again, they like to have Hanabi play more of that weak side, invest more resources bot. But when you have things like Gwen and you have things like just these fighters that can really take over the game in the 1v1 matchup, I mean, that could be a really big opening for Liang to just take over the game.
We're going to be taking a look at the Mega Bank Beyond Gaming roster. For now, Liang going to be in the top lane. Husha, your jungler, will be Moen starting today over Husky. He's still on the roster for sure. Doggo back to his natural habitat. And Kino, who's just become a father, also starting today as well. They have picked up another support player, but for today, Kino will be restarted.
Yeah, Kino, big congrats to him. A child is always a big thing to congratulate someone over here. And for Mega Bank Beyond, they're looking to start off the split right. They didn't have a great time in playoffs, as I mentioned, going 0-6. But, you know, here this time around, in a more relaxed environment, given that it is regular split, I expect to see them really come out firing.
And on the other side, we have PSG Talon, the team that everyone wants to take down, everyone looks up to, and everyone fears. Hanabi in the top lane, River in the jungle, my personal MVP for the spring split. Maple, unified in the bot lane, finally healthy and back in the starting roster. And then, of course, last but not least, Kai Wing, one of my favorite supports all time to see. Now, both of these supports, Kino and Kai Wing, are pretty much Leona mains. They have great engage potential. The support duel in the bot lane has been super intense, and I think, funnily enough, for a lot of people that might not know this, in this matchup specifically, we have actually seen Doggo and Kino win the 2v2.
Yeah, and I mean, PSG, in general, they can just attack you from so many different positions because of the fact that this roster is just so experienced on the international stage, and they can definitely compete at all positions on the international stage. So that's why, while they do like to play bot side here with Unified and Kai Wing, and they are, I would still say, the strongest 2v2 in the league, they have the option to play through things like Maple or Hanabi if the situation calls for it.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough matchup, especially looking at the drafting phase and the ban pick. I think the biggest discrepancy here is definitely Moen's champion pool versus someone like Maple. Moen, pretty much kind of a solo mage player, and we all know on 11.13, even with the buffs, mages aren't really that dominant in the mid lane. We're going to be taking a look at how the ban picks go. Beyond Gaming, straight off the bat, taking 2 away from potentially Maple's champion pool here in the Karma and the LeBlanc, while on the other side, PSG definitely focusing down Husha with the Xin Zhao and the Nocturne.
Yeah, taking away the Zen, also the the power of Nocturne, just being able to flex it into top and jungle. Of course, we don't really expect the Nocturne to go into the mid lane given Maoan's champion pool tendencies, and I like the LeBlanc ban out as well, just saying, hey, we don't want Maple to be roaming all over the map and just killing everyone. We want to try and make sure he sticks in lane, limit his impact around the map.
Are you seeing this on the screen? Is that a Draven ban?
It looks like a Draven ban to me.
That's pretty interesting. Dago didn't actually play Draven last split, but PSG have definitely seen some shenanigans in scrims or something, and we're gonna see Beyond Gaming with the Viego first pick. This is pretty common these days, you know, can flex into 3 positions on the top side of the map, while PSG are going to answer back with a Lee Sin. We have seen this from Hanabi, not yet from Maple, but I wouldn't be surprised if Maple can pick that up too. Akali also going to be locked in. That is the champion that has, you know, big nerfs coming in 11.14, still very strong right now. And then Sylas, wow, this is a big improvement here for Beyond Gaming. You know, they actually penned Sylas for the majority of their games last split, but going through the draft extremely fast, and also the Kalista being locked in here for the first 3 picks.
Yeah, a lot of bruisers coming out in this first phase. We have Viego, Sylas, Lee Sin, and Akali. This game is all about early fighting here, and we do see Aphelios potentially locked in here for Unified. Did get some buffs on this patch. It's going to feel a lot better as well, I think, and he's just really just a big monster, and he plays relatively well into things like the Sylas and the Kalista, who are just going to be running at him.
Yeah, we still don't have a good gauge on what the junglers are going to be from each side. They can still definitely flex around here. But PSG, I think, revealing their cards a little bit. This, to me, it looks more like a 1-3-1. And, you know, it's kind of atypical to see the Aphelios ran without the Thresh. We're going to be seeing what that extra champion is going to be coming out from Kaiwing. In the meantime, Beyond Gaming just... I like this. You know, you don't really expect the Leona to be paired up with the Aphelios, but they're going to ban it anyway because it's Kaiwing. So I respect that. On the flip side, also we see Kaiwing showing some respect to Kino, 2 very similar supports, and taking away that Alistar for that engage and dive composition that Beyond Gaming seem to be drafting up here.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to hit 6 support bans here in this game. So now it's really a test of where do we go next when it comes to these support champion pools. But for PSG, it looks like they're considering just saving the last pick for support here, as they're going to be hovering Gwen, and they will lock it in. So it looks like it's going to be a very top-centric game here coming in for PSG.
Yeah, I think most likely Lee Sin mid, Gwen top, Gwen jungle. Seems like that's the play here. I mean,
Lee Sin
these
also
positions
did get nerfed though, so solo lane Lee Sin not as good.
True. So probably could still see Lee Sin in for River. It's definitely a lot of swap around potential right here. And for Beyond Gaming, we're going to be seeing the Kennen. This could potentially be support. You know, we have seen some like Pokeball Kennons in the past with the Kalista combo. It's always a really fun combo to see. And wow, is this going to be Nico?
It honestly could be a Nico support here. I know over in LCK, this was one of Karia's big support champs to pair with the Kalista. You have a lot of... It's very similar to that Kennen, right? Where you throw in the Nico throws down the ultimate, and you're able to just get a whole lot of zone control. So this is a big zone control composition coming in from Megabank Beyond Gaming. And for the side of PSG, they realize there's so much engage pressure. Naturally, the best champ to go into that is going to be that Braum to really neutralize all of that engage. But it's very, very difficult given how much engage is coming out from Megabank Beyond.
Yeah, just taking a look at both compositions right here. PSG, they finally locked in the Braum, like you said, a bit of protection here, trying to avoid that zone control, that engage for Beyond Gaming. But I guess my big question to you is, Can PSG actually run out of a team fight like this? You know, we've been seeing teams like RNG where they try to run protect the AD carry, and it just doesn't seem to work in this patch where everyone can dive your backline.
Yeah, that's the real big issue here with this composition, right? You have the Braum to neutralize, but the rest of the team doesn't really help in aid in protecting the Aphelios. The Aphelios seems pretty much all playing pretty much for himself with this Braum, because you have Akali, you have Gwen, you have Lee Sin. Yes, Lee Sin can throw down the Dragon's Kick to try and disengage for the squad, but for the most part, they're lacking a lot of disengage. So when it comes to composition styles, I do favor Beyond, but the issue is, if we look at the previous split, Mega Bank Beyond Gaming, they play a very slow style. They like to turn online at 30 minutes, and this is a composition that needs to play a lot faster than just waiting for 30 minutes.
Definitely. I see this composition as being much better if they can contest dragons and get on the board early, especially with Kalista versus Aphelios. You know, that's definitely a bit more of a one-sided matchup the later you go into the game. So we'll keep a close eye on that to see if Beyond Gaming can actually ramp up the tempo, something they haven't been able to do in the past. On the other hand, PSG, they definitely have more outs to me. You know, their late game hyperscaling is super strong. They can play 1-3-1 if they get that lead early. And, you know, that level 6 burst coming in from River and Maple is also quite scary. There's a lot of different things that I think PSG can do. Well, Beyond Gaming, like you said, probably shoehorning themselves more into, you know, straight up engage or a bit more of that early game Drake fight or Herald fight sort of strategy.
Yeah, right now, because of the meta with it being so teamfight focused, that's why I give a slight edge over the Beyond. But again, this is a composition that doesn't really play to Beyond's strengths, right? They like to wait and scale. This is not a composition that can really allow themselves to wait and scale. By that time, the Aphelios is online, and given how forward they're going to be playing, if that Braum hits the right ult, that Aphelios will go to town and absolutely shred Mega Bank Beyond Gaming.
So we are going on to the Rift. The wait has been very, very long. I just want to say sorry to our audiences. We have been delayed for COVID by about a month, but we are finally back. You know, we've started when everyone is already midway through their regular seasons, but PCS is finally here. Now we're going to be taking a look at the summoners and rune choices so far. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Kennen, definitely a bit more of a unique pick here, but I think we all understand that just, you know, right now Gwen is such a powerful champion that a lot of people are just defaulting to range versus melee matchups to kind of survive.
Yeah, they're using that extra range capability to try and abuse some of the lane potential you have here, which, I mean, given Leon, he likes to play so far forward, it is going to be good in that regard, having that Kennen being able to get topside priority over this Gwen. But again, this Gwen is just going to scale up so darn fast. It's going to be really scary.
Taking a look right now, Gwen is going to help Lee Sin start on the top side. River going to get a good leash and head towards the bottom lane earlier on. So we're going to have mirrored starts by both of his jungles and potentially some action early coming from that bot lane. Silas, not a particularly strong champion early level, is going to get bullied out by that Akali just a little bit. But for the most part, you know, this looks like Beyond Gaming's bot lane with that extra poke over Braum is going to be able to control the lane. And, you know, we should be seeing like that Viego also benefiting off that. Pusha probably going to get his scuttle a little bit easier here.
Yeah, and I mean, both of these junglers pathing towards bot lane makes a lot of sense because you want to try and gank this, or really focus this Nico lane. If Nico does get behind, then you're really able to hard punish it, but otherwise, this Nico is just going to go to town against this Braum pick, and I love this 2v2 duo coming in from Beyond. They're going to be able to really take advantage of this matchup.
Yeah, I love the matchup here, like the Nico you're talking about. I almost feel like they might have predicted that Braum was the only answer right here. Tom Kench, not a lot of people play him on 11.13.
Yeah.
You know, they had banned the Thresh, they have banned the Karma out. So, you know, Nico with the barbs can hit behind the stand behind me on Braum. So the matchup definitely not very favorable, especially in the laning phase. You can see them getting pushed in so very, very far here, and Doggo started the game with a 7 CS advantage, denying the entire wave. Not really denying, but making sure that the CS wasn't answered back. Husha is going to spot out River right here, and like we kind of predicted, Husha is going to have an easy time on this first scuttle.
Yeah, gets that first scuttle, and now he's going to be able to get the double scuttle as well, just because River's kind of stuck on that Gromp. So he's going to try and go for a Hail Mary gank here, but spotted out by that ward, it's going to be a lot of time potentially wasted.
Ooh, and you have to expect that ward is going to be dropped by Beyond Gaming right here, and there's absolutely nothing for River right here. He's thinking about maybe going for the Krugs, but with the bot lane backing off, he knows that he can't really go there either. And on the flip side, Husha now has that free entryway to the 2 scuttles like you talked about, and he's also going to force Lee Sin's pathing towards onto the top side as well. So a pretty big lead here coming out from the bot lane and the jungle for Beyond Gaming.
Yeah, this is just a fantastic start coming in, being able to get that pathing down, and for bot lane to also protect the Krug camp as well, denying that extra EXP from going over to this Lee Sin just means that this Lee Sin is going to be really, really starved when it comes to trying to find plays, and that just buys a lot of time for Viego to continue to scale up and make sure that once he gets to that first team fight, he's just going to be so much more impactful than this Lee Sin.
And we have to, you know, remind our viewers who haven't been able to see Viego in the previous PCS split that this champion is extremely powerful in those teamfight situations where you can snipe off the first kill. He gets those first Heartseeker strikes and just teleports all across the map. Really, really much like an AD Katarina in teamfights. So he's just such a great power amplifier when you can get yourself ahead in those skirmishes, in those teamfight situations. He's a very, very dangerous champion in that regard. River is going to get spotted out here, so Husha relatively safe. Just checking around in this river and making sure to clear some of these pink wards right here. Seems like PSG is going to have to wait towards Akali's level 6 and probably wait then for Maple to get into the action. Right now, they are still on the back foot, and we can see Husha already throwing that invade against River. He does have that CS lead, and the mid lane is closing in.
Level 6.
Can River get out? Oh, top lane, though, we have Beyond Gaming, Leon coming in, chunking Hanabi down to below 300 HP on the other side of the map. Looks like River, as a Lee Sin, gets out perfectly fine.
Yeah, and it was just the level 6 timing coming in from Liang, had the teleport up. Hanabi tried to hold the freeze up into that top side, which was well positioned, but unfortunately he just doesn't expect the fact that Liang's going to be coming back at level 6. So he takes a really bad trade there, and honestly, I was really fully expecting that dive to come in bot side, but because of River's position, does prevent his bot lane from getting dove, as we saw that Maoen did have that extra wave priority in that mid side. So all around, well done from PSG to hold off that bot dive, but also well done from Liang to be able to get that small advantage up into that top side.
And we're seeing on our screen right now, Husha up 3 scuttles to nothing. They know that Lee Sin has just went top lane to protect the lane for Hanabi, and they're going to take a Drake off of this. This has been pretty much 4 or 5 different camps from Husha that have been completely unanswered on River's side. We have to be seeing that Lee Sin gang coming in with the Dragon's Rage, or else this early game seems like a complete snowball for Beyond Gaming.
Yeah, and this is a completely different Beyond Gaming, right? Because during Spring Split, this was a very slow, methodical team. But with this really early game-driven composition, they've really shown that they can play a bit more of a fast-paced game. Yes, it's 0-0 on the kills kill board, but they've opened up a gold lead. They're doing a lot in these lanes to get pretty nice advantages, especially on these side lanes, that they've set themselves up for a very explosive first team fight. So now it's up to PSG to try and make sure they don't get sucked into that first team fight.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It looks like they're more of a 1-3-1 composition here. They need more time for the Akali to be able to pull her weight. Same thing with Hanabi in the top lane as well. I do want to commend Liang here. I think the matchup here is something we don't really see much. Kennen hasn't been that popular of an option against Gwen. You know, usually it's been the Jax, the Wukong, the Sets. But this has been a perfect answer. We see the 15 CS lead in the top lane, also got the turret plating already too, and we can see that it's really forcing PSG to overcommit towards the top side. They do catch out Husha starting out on this scuttle, and it looks like Husha is still going to continue pulling it here. This could be potentially quite dangerous. PSG definitely in position to intercept. They find Kino. Can they get the kill down? First blood goes over to PSG as Kaiwing finds the perfect snipe. Husha in action though is going to use the hard pass and get that return kill onto River. Things are not looking great here as Doggo finds the snipe down. Maple is pretty low health. He's going to fly towards Doggo. Not going to be able to find the second kill here, and the fight is going to continue. PSG getting 2 kills down, Beyond Gaming also getting 2 apiece. So this is a pretty good situation here coming in from PSG. They were on the spot first. They did catch out Kino trying to face check that brush, and they equalized the kills.
Yeah, it's a really big pick onto Kino, and he ends up autoing a minion, which prevents him from really backing off any further. And for the side of Beyond, they opt to try and continue this fight, even though they don't have their big AoE zone control ultimates there. They don't have Liang there, and they already lose at the start of the fight that Nico ultimate. So this is just a really bad commit afterwards coming in from Beyond, and they're really fortunate to be able to still get 2 kills. But that all being said, that really flips the game script, right? Because PSG, now they have the gold lead. They're all of a sudden get gold onto the big carries here when it comes to this mid game, getting it onto this Akali and this Ophelia. So all of a sudden, win conditions coming online for PSG, not looking great for Beyond. But that said, Beyond, they still have a good first team fight. They just need to be able to find that team fight.
Yeah, I definitely could tell what Beyond Gaming were thinking right there. They had the lead before those 2 kills in, but I felt like their pathing was just way too cavalier. Like,
yeah.
Kino, you just saw Kaiwing through the mid lane. Like, Kaiwing was not trying to act sneaky. He literally just walked through the mid lane. But they still found the pick anyway. Now Beyond Gaming are going to right some of these wrongs right here. They're still going to be able to take the Herald with the, you die first, you get back on the map first, and that's going to equalize a bit of the lead. But on the flip side, Maple does get some alone time on that bottom tower.
Yeah, now it just comes down to where do they decide to put this Rift Herald? Do they throw it up into the top side or try and invest it into Doggo? But Liang could be in trouble.
Oh, he's face checking directly into River, but River actually misses the Q. Liang's going to be able to walk out of this, doesn't even burn the flash. That was a little bit disappointing from River after the Dragon's Rage doesn't land the Sonic Wave.
Yeah, and a bit of a flub there coming in from PSG. Missed a huge opportunity there, as they would be able to just really harvest a lot of these tower plates, as Liang is going to have a teleport coming up very soon. He has that option to teleport back top if he deems that he wants to try and protect more of these turret plates, but it does look like Hanabi respects the teleport cooldown and does go ahead, back off, gets his own recall off, and he's in for a nice buy in this regard. Has closed a bit of the CS lead here, but with that CS wave really crashing up topside, Liang is going to be able to recuperate that lead. And now this is the big moment here. Do PSG opt for this fight, or will they go ahead and concede it?
River is definitely in position for the steal. Goes right in. Drake down to 2,000 HP. The teleport's coming in a little bit faster for PSG. And Akali is on the flank like you mentioned, but Kino going in. Doesn't really find that many with the crowd control. Again, we see the Fates called completely whiffed. And Aphelios is answering back with a ton of damage right here. PSG, they are in perfect position. First couple of ultimates by Beyond Gaming not really hitting the mark. And PSG are able to break the Drake train.
Yeah, and this is a big moment coming in from PSG, being able to secure that second dragon there. And it was really the pressure offered by Maple. It forces Mawan to pull down to try and make sure that Akali doesn't get free access into the team fight there. And that means for PSG, they're given that extra space to make that move, finish off that dragon, and to be able to walk away. Because if you see the teleport coming in from Liang, it was not a great flank teleport angle, and Kino wasn't also wasn't in a great position to really start the fight. And because of that, they don't get sandwiched, and PSG, I feel like, got away with murder there.
Yeah, that definitely should not have been that one-sided. Like, Beyond Gaming's, their first two ultimates basically didn't do anything. They got Gwen's W, and that's about it. So that was
congratulations.
A bit of a misfire on their part, and also it was kind of a mauling Herald right after that was pretty well defended by PSG as well. So yeah, that was not exactly what Beyond Gaming wanted to see, and really good disengage coming in from PSG so far. They've been able to keep their distance, return the damage really well, and now we're going to start to seeing the 1-3-1 come out. You know, Akali, she is at that point where a lot of these AP sustained builds are coming in. The Leeching Leer done for both Hanabi and Maple, Riftmaker for both of them, and that definitely signals more of a 1-3-1 build on both ends. River gonna fly in onto Kino, Kaiwing coming in, but they don't find the target afterwards. A bit of a split focus right here. Kino gonna send down the ultimate and the flash. River goes in, doesn't find the kill. There is a Zhonya's here, and finally we do see Kaiwing picking that one up. On the flip side, Beyond Gaming only taking down a tower in return. No action and no damage dealt to heroes here, champions here on the side of Beyond Gaming.
Honestly, not that bad of a trade coming in from Beyond, given the fact that they were just really, not in a great place. Kino once again finds himself picked off here, but with so many resources thrown into that play, they are at least able to even out the tower on the other side. So Liang continues to funnel resources into himself. It's really, again, Liang hasn't been able to find that big team fight ultimate, and he's already level 11. Like, this composition needed to come online a lot faster, and they had a great first 8 minutes of the game, but that was it.
We still have a lot of power coming in to these team fights. Once again, with the Silas, I think being able to take away Braum's ultimate, the Glacial Fissure, is quite important in these team fights, and I just want to see Beyond Gaming actually be able to pull off the engage. The tools are all there, they just haven't been able to pick the moments. So I still have some hope for them. I feel like the next couple of Drake fights is where they can really showcase what this composition is capable of, but we need to see it in action. We need to see the execution come out.
Yeah, and yes, that first team fight is going to be incredibly lethal, but the issue still stands. PSG were able to get that second dragon, which means that, coming into the next two dragons, now that their 1-3-1 is online, they can be absolutely devastating on the side lanes while conceding those next two dragons. So PSG have a lot more options moving forward in this game, and Beyond, they need to find that next play.
Kino getting tagged here by Unified just a little, losing 200 HP. We see Viego, Husha on the side, trying to find an angle of engage, but not really able to. River sneaking across the enemy jungle, does have Maple on his side, and I think Beyond Gaming have got the message. They're just going to concede the top side here. We don't have Baron, so there's no real pressure here on the top side. Potentially a Herald only, And it looks like PSG are going to secure the top side and probably just play for an objective trade here.
Yeah, 20 seconds until Dragon. They don't really have many champions positioned around that area. They do have a decent amount of vision, but not really looking to perhaps move over. So get themselves this Rift Herald in exchange isn't that bad, especially with the extra gold coming in from tier 2 towers on these side lanes. It does enable more of these side lane comps to really snowball.
We are going to be seeing an Infernal Drake this game. Always the Drake I love most. Means teams that are going to contest over this a lot more than they do for other Drakes. PSG have actually got the inside track this time around. They actually have ramp coverage here, so Beyond Gaming, interestingly enough, actually giving up position here. A lot of this poke going down onto Kino has allowed PSG actually find themselves perfectly in the Drake pit, and there's nothing that Beyond Gaming can do.
Yeah, this is a wild turn of events. It actually ends up being PSG just walking casually into the Dragon and just saying, all right, well, go ahead and take this. And Beyond, they just go, all right, you're welcome, have a nice day. And I'm PSG like, they'll take it,
but they are going to find the engage onto Kaiwing. A lot of abilities used already. Leon does pop the Maelstrom to get in. Unified, the next victim to fall, and we see Viego in action. Heartseeker strike across the mid lane. Maple's going to go in, but he trades his life 1-for-1 against Maoan. So 3-for-1 in total for Beyond Gaming, and they have a clear shot towards this Herald. PSG, I felt like that was a little bit of an overstep. They got everything they wanted in the bot side, but asked for a little bit too much.
Yeah, and this time, this is a brilliant fight coming in from Beyond. They have full control over this Rift Herald area, and for the side of PSG, like, they just get a little bit too excited. They go, oh man, we got that dragon? Maybe if we just go and walk towards this Rift Herald, Beyond will just give that one over to us as well. And Beyond, we're like, what? We're not going to give everything over to you for free. This one is ours, and they really reassert themselves in this game by being able to secure that team fight around that area and get that Rift Herald.
It's a really good bait by Beyond Gaming. I don't know if you've read Sun Tzu or not, but act strong when you are weak, and act weak when you are actually strong. And Beyond Gaming pulled that off quite nicely. We are going to see a 2v1 dive here against Liang. He does have the slicing Maelstrom, but oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. It was actually on cooldown, so really well timed here by PSG, but in comes Kino. He's going to get a two-man stun. Maple already in the fray, though. Much more damage coming out from the PSG squadron than Beyond Gaming. Doggo does not find an angle to engage, and there might be another victim underneath this tower. Maoan drops down into stasis, but cannot survive the 5-man hit squad from PSG. Great side lane collapse. Doggo doesn't even get an auto attack off in that skirmish.
Yeah, and this is what PSG is strong at. They're good at making these proactive plays, and if you ever get lackadaisical, that's when they're going to pounce, and this comp really suits them as well. And I mean, for the side of Beyond, they're all about really this Exodia composition. They have to be all 5-man fully synced up, use all those R keys at the proper times, and they never get an option to do that in this fight. Doggo's just too far off. He's late to the party, and by the time he arrives, well, the party's done.
3 unanswered kills going over to PSG right there, and we see Maple at this point being incredibly strong. 2-1-2, has that CS lead already, and just look at the side lanes. Both of these side lanes for PSG across the river. Beyond Gaming are so far behind in tempo at this point. It almost feels like their comp has kind of met the expiration date, and they need to force something quickly.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they've hit expiration date, and you know, if you've ever had expired milk, that is not good. So Beyond, they're hoping that they aren't aged like milk, but rather more like Gouda. So hopefully finding that late game team fight, they still have potential, right? But at this point in the game, the Nico just doesn't necessarily have that damage because she is the support, so she's not going to be one-shotting anyone anytime soon. So it comes down to Liang's positioning.
Yeah, I felt like the ban picks actually come back to kind of bite Kino in the butt. They banned out the Leona and the engage supports themselves, and then they had to go for this this Nico, which pretty much is an engage bot at this point. So I kind of wonder how Nico is going to work in these team fights. Can they actually get any interesting engages with maybe inherent glamour being used or something like that? I always love those tricks when you can pull them off, but no, they're pretty few and far in between. And it looks like PSG are just going to roll with full map control from this point onwards.
Yeah, really, if you're looking for a play from Kino's perspective, it is just, changing yourself into that cannon, throwing at that clone. Hopefully, they really bite the bait and really try and collapse onto that cannon clone while Liang's able to come around from the flank and then get a really nice ult. But now here, once again, we're going into this Dragon Dance. This time, Beyond will be able to get to the Dragon first, and teleport coming in from Liang. And this really just comes down to Liang's positioning.
I love what Hanabi is doing right here. Very difficult to dislodge Gwen. She's coming in on the backside. Doggo is tagged down, takes the slow.
Flank.
We see the Gravitum coming down as well. The full collapse comes in. River gets the first kill onto Hujia before the Heartseeker strike can even come out. Kino is in danger, and PSG are running away with this team fight. 2 kills, 3 kills, and a straight path towards the Baron. River trying to find Malan in his own jungle. Not going to be able to, and we see the pings going over to the big purple worm.
And PSG, they come out firing in that fight. They split it up, and for Beyond, yes, this was finally the moment that they were able to find that really big wombo.
Never mind.
He got a little bit frisky, but as they say, all bark, no bite. As now they're going to turn over for the Baron. They're going to be able to secure it, should be able to secure it, but trying to really harass down the side of PSG. They should be able to get it. They will, and they're just going to go ahead, back off, enjoy this huge gold infusion. And as we stated before, for a side of Beyond, they hit expiration date, and it's not cheese. I'm sorry to say, it's milk.
Yeah, cheese definitely a little bit better than milk here. I just can't get enough of Hanabi's engage here. Once you see Doggo get tagged by the Needlework, he kind of knows it's a bit doomed right here. Great funnel from PSG. They catch everyone as they try to exit up the Raptor ramp, and it's just a pure chase down after that. Really, really well played by PSG. I think the only good thing about that for Beyond Gaming is that they do secure this second Drake, but second Drake is really far off from being game deciding.
Yeah, it's a sad consolation prize. If that was soul point for them, that would have been huge, being able to put themselves onto some point, but that's not it. So for PSG, this Baron buff is going to be very impactful here. They're going to be able to get a lot of gold and really assert their side lane dominance with this Akali and with this Gwen.
We're seeing PSG just push down the mid tower here, pretty much unopposed. They do have Gwen on the side lanes. Hanabi piloting this champion perfectly here, taking away the enemy jungle in the meantime as well. And you can see Beyond Gaming, their vision, their control over the map is being constricted one move at a time, and they really have nowhere to go. They need to force an engage somewhere on the map. It has to be on this Akali, or it might need to be on this mid lane. Typically, the mid lane is the better option against the 1-3-1. Kino does find a small route onto River, but the Lee Sin just shrugs it off, and they take another tower. In the meantime, Maple also just chucking this one away. No hull breaker needed. Maple is just going to take all your bases belong to PSG.
Yeah, and I mean, this is where the Beyond comp really struggles, right? Because they have 0 wave clear on this composition. Their best wave clear tool is Nico, but because it's a support Nico, there's no damage behind all those wave clear tools. So this Baron buff is going to be absolutely devastating. So they're going to be able to break so much of the base. And for Beyond, can they find an engage before they lose everything?
That was just sick to watch. Hanabi actually is able to take down the tower without any resistance from Beyond Gaming. River gonna go in. Kino very low on the HP bars. He is gonna survive, but these two inhibitors are in danger. Finally, we see the engage from Liang, but he is instantly exhausted. Maple going into the back line. Kino very lucky to survive, but his top laner is stuck in place. Great play coming in from Kaiwi, making sure that this Kennen gets to do absolutely nothing in the team fights, and Beyond Gaming look like they don't have the pieces anymore. Kino goes in, Zania's a little bit too early, finds absolutely no one on the stun, and PSG continue to roll in on the Nexus. Towers going very, very low. Doggo still already used his Fate's Call, so this engage is very difficult to pull off. He's going in, but Hanabi has that hollowed mist, and Doggo has to fight him within his own zone. He still finds an angle on the Seamstress, isn't able to finish off that kill, as Hanabi does have his flash and gets away to safety.
Yeah, and PSG, they just play the siege so damn perfectly. They take the towers, they take the maximum amount of kills that they can get, and then they go ahead back off. Dragon is going to be spawning in 10 seconds, and that could be a really big point of contention here because PSG, they're looking to try and get some recall timers off. So if Beyond are able to get there, maybe steal it, that would be good, but they just aren't in position. They're going to go ahead, concede it, and I mean, thankfully for them, it's not Soul, so the game's not fully dead in the water, but you can kind of see the writing on the wall.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for Beyond Gaming. They don't really have an ability to contest. This is a 2v1 versus Hanabi, though. He is throwing out some snip against Husha, level 16, and he's gonna, looks like it's gonna be a double kill here. Not much that Husha can do. He does pop the stasis, and could turn this around. Oh, he does find the last blade of the Ruin King strike. Has him sustained by himself and is able to get away, but at what cost? Can he actually find an escape? Kaiwing is looking for him. He's getting hit by the tower, and the base is also in tatters. Let's see if he does find that execute, denying some gold, and he does get it. So all in all, actually not that bad.
I would say a worthwhile trade there for Beyond, being able to at least funnel some gold onto themselves. You lose Kino, but let's be fair here. It hasn't been super impactful on this pick, so you're okay with taking that loss, and Wuxia being able to get some gold onto himself. Always a welcome sight, and if he gets that reset in a fight, there is still potential of the fight being swung back in favor for Beyond, but the issue is Liang doesn't have the damage to really punch through this PSG composition, and that makes it very difficult for Hu Xiao to get those resets.
Seeing double Mercury treads on the solo laners here, and also Steric's Gauge on River. Really at this point, Liang without Magic Pen he's just not going to do much in these team fights, and we are going to be seeing Maple collapsing in from the top side. Hanabi as well. They're looking for this flank onto the tower, going pretty low here. Husha trying to find an engage, and in goes Kino. River actually gets in and gets stunned up, so that's a 1 kill advantage.
Good start.
Going over to Beyond Gaming. Doggo trying to fight on both sides, but Maple will take him down. In the meantime, Hanabi just going straight for the juggler. He's not even going to join the team fight. He's just going to go for the win right here. Husha does find the stun, but can't stop the Nexus from falling. PSG get their revenge for Spring Split and come out with a win in their debut of the PCS Summer Split.
And PSG they had their eyes on the prize the entire time, all just throughout the game. Yes, they had a poor first 8 minutes of the game. They struggled a little bit in lane, but once it got to those skirmishes, they played them out so damn perfectly. And the patience exhibited on this roster was on full display. They take this first game of the split, and what a dominant fashion it was as well.
And a lot of what happened was exactly like you predicted. It's just PSG being able to somehow skate away from very detrimental potential early team fights and being able to secure objectives regardless. And once it hit the 20-minute mark, it's just 1-3-1 mode, no response from Beyond Gaming whatsoever, and they roll to a victory.
Yeah, I mean, PSG just played them like a fiddle. They had all the cards set. I mean, it really just came down to a really unfortunate fight setup coming in from Megabank Beyond Gaming around that Rift Herald. That first Rift Herald really spelled bad signs for the rest of the game. They were too lackadaisical, given that they had the lead and they just kind of casually strolled into that Rift Herald, and PSG, they weren't having it.
Yeah, I think Kino, instead of having the father buff, kind of had the father distraction, I would say, this game. Didn't really show up to his top performance, and the Nico pick was not as impactful as we would have hoped. A lot of missed engages coming out left and right, and I think that for the MVP, for my personal pick, I think I'm going to have to go with Gwen. Hanabi, this game, he just took Doggo to the vet for some snip, just way too many times. You know, it just goes beyond backdoor and make sure there's no escape for him whatsoever. And that's just it's kind of sad to see. Beyond Gaming, I still think they have a little bit of trouble overcoming those hurdles, like you were talking about getting their early aggression on point and actually forcing the correct tempo in games.
Yeah, Liang never got a really good flank teleport in this entire game, and it was really just problematic. Instead, it was Hanabi on that Gwen being absolutely devastating, and he didn't even have to necessarily throw out all the damage and get maximum damage in these team fights. It was just his existence on that flank that put so much pressure on Doggo to really play very defensively. He couldn't ever get too close to these fights, and even if he did, you have to deal with Aphelios, and Aphelios just does much more team fight damage at 2-3 items that, you know, the Kalista just can't keep up.
Yeah, it definitely felt like, you know, Beyond Gaming drafted themselves a composition that could never be engaged upon themselves. They always had to be on the front foot, and they just never found the pedal. Like, they would throw some kicks, They would hit nothing, and then the return punch was way too much coming out from PSG's side. So congratulations to PSG, dominating fashion against the number 2 team of Spring. That is definitely some very, very good signs for this PSG squadron coming in here. And I think we also saw some, you know, great answers to maybe how the meta is going to be played out. A really big question for me was, for a lot of these PCS teams, could they actually play a 1-3-1? This league has been primarily a weak side top lane meta for I don't know how many years, basically from the inception of the LMS all the way till now. And with that performance for Hanabi, I think that actually has instilled a lot of faith for me in our international relevance this split, that, you know, hey, these teams can actually pull off a pretty decent 1-3-1. They have a lot of flex picks in their roster. So, you know, I definitely feel PSG stock sort of rising after that performance.
Yeah, and PSG, when it comes to the international stage, it's always been sort of Hanabi that has been a bit of a weak point, where he does tend to get a little bit over aggressive at times, even though he's supposed to play weak side, and that's led to their downfall. So I'm looking for, in this split, to see all those mistakes short up, and for Hanabi to really stand tall and assert himself as one of those top 2 top laners in this league.
Yeah, he definitely showed it in the finals in Spring Split. Took a complete beating towards Liang, and we're going to be taking a look at the goal difference over time. Small leads at the early portions of the game from Beyond Gaming here, but over time, we could see PSG having just a lot more control here and showing a lot more experience. Also on the damage charts, Aphelios versus Kalista, just Doggo didn't get to do much this game. I think we can put it mildly that was the case. Just there were so many team fights where he didn't even get auto attacks off. He just had to keep on running from Gwen, running from Akali. It's just such a difficult meta to play as an AD carry.
Yeah, the Kalista pick didn't really pan out very well because of how far ahead the Akali was able to get in lane in comparison to the Sylas, and then the Gwen being able to snowball off of the first couple of fights, as we do get to see Hanabi is the MVP, had a brilliant performance here in a couple of these team fights, and that flank pressure was just unreal, and it really just put the side of Megabank Beyond on skates, and they really struggled to find that team fight because of that really flank pressure provided by the Gwen.
Yeah, Gwen's such a powerful champion. I'm glad that there are champions Hanabi